The Rotary Club of Clearlake was formed in 1973, and 50 years later is the leading service organization in Clearlake. Much has changed in the world and in Rotary in 50 years, but the basic principles are timeless, and the club is as selfless today as it was 50 years ago. In the years since its charter, the club has performed countless acts of service to the local community, as well as all over the world. You will hear in the following videos about how the Rotary Club of Clearlake's local service has made a difference in our community. The club helped build the athletic field at Lower Lake High School, put up bus stops, feed the needy, and provide hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships. The club was a leader in fire relief in Lake County, as well as the broader district. Most recently, the club was instrumental in getting the Clearlake Community Center qualified as an emergency evacuation center. These are just a few of the projects that have benefited our local community. But the club didn't stop there. It has participated in international projects all over the world. The club has hosted over 25 exchange students, forming lifetime bonds with the students and their families. In November of 2013, Super Typhoon Haiyan hit the Philippines, and it killed over 6,300 people. The Rotary Club of Clearlake joined the Rotary Club in Tacloban, Philippines, and through District 5130 and Rotary International, raised over $80,000 to support the rebuilding of the city. It's truly amazing to be part of an organization that puts service above self and help make the world a better place.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about Gene Magoon, who was a charter member. That would have been 1973. And I met him about 74, 75 when I got into the club. And the club had not done a project yet. We did some service things, but we actually didn't build anything, get anything going for the community. So we decided bikes were a big thing then, that we wanted to make some bike racks that you could put it right in front of the post office so that you could, put your bike there, lock it up, go get your mail, come on out and unlock it and take it off with it. So we decided to go to his house in Lower Lake, and with a few other Rotarians too. This is going to be our first big project. So we got all the wood, got the forms all made. We're going to pour them in concrete and then put bolts in them so you could put your lock in there. Got it all done, poured the concrete, came back the next day and took off the forms, and they all crumbled. Not one of them worked. So that was the beginning and end of our very first project.
So Dennis just asked me what was one of my finest memories of Rotary and being a Sergeant of Arms for 30 plus years. That was my best memory, was trying to find Cooper every week. So he'd always complain, well, I didn't do anything. That's okay, Mark, but you're boring, so you're going to pay a fine anyway. So that was my goal every week, was to find Cooper. We had a lot of fun together interacting. He always tried to get back at me, but he always had a difficult time doing that. So love finding Mark.
What I enjoyed about Rotary was the friendships. And I became friends with a fellow by the name of Jack Parker, the gentleman here on my left. Gentleman is probably an excessive, but anyway. Jack was, I would say, Sergeant of Arms for something like 30 years. He has two great accomplishments. One is he was actually able to effectively find Mark Cooper, and the other one was he was actually able to find me, a novice, $400, and being a fool, I paid it.
Did he deserve it? He deserved it. He deserved it, and continues to deserve it. Anybody that speaks as loud as Peter does, as long as Peter does, deserves to be fined a lot more than $400.
There's a true reason for that, Jack, and I want you to know that. My father-in-law was deaf in one ear, just like you.
What'd you say?
And the result of that was they always sent me on his deaf ear. And for 15 years, I had to speak loud. It just became a habit.
Well, you haven't learned to slow down at all, have you?
Of course not. No. When you got to sell $50 bottle of wine for $150, you got to be able to talk loud and entertain them.
Yeah, my attendance, I'm pleased and proud that I've been able to be 50 years of perfect attendance. Back when we first started the club, it was really stressed that you attend every meeting. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, if you missed like 3 meetings in a row, you were kicked out. So I just made it my obligation to show up every week. And back in those days, you could make up a week before or a week after a meeting to get your perfect attendance. So fortunately for me, I lived in Hidden Valley, and once we had the Middletown Club, they had a morning breakfast meeting. So in 5 minutes, I could go make up a meeting when I needed to. Now I've made up in Reno, I've made up in Colorado a couple of times, I've made up in Hawaii. It's just something that you do. It wasn't like you were forced to do it. It just became a habit. It wasn't that difficult to do. And the benefit now is that you can do them online, which has been very beneficial for me.
My name is Adrienne, and was actually the third woman to ever join the Clearlake Rotary Club. Jeannie Bertolucci was the first, Marilyn Grover, and then myself. People have said things that, the men might have been a little bit hard on us, but that was never my experience. Everybody was just unbelievably welcoming. They would come pick me up at work, bring me back. I enjoyed it. It was fun and never any problems at all.
So I'm going through my 1981-82 scrapbook of my year as president of the Rotary Club. And one of the things that really sticks out to me is our calendar and the number of things that we participated in and did, starting with the district governor's visit, lizard races, a family picnic, a hot dog sale. We probably did that at Foods. And we'd tell people they better get a hot dog before they go in because they don't want to shop when they're hungry because they might overshop. Casino night. We had a casino night every year. We had our own crap tables and pool 21 tables. Youth and Business Day. We used to invite high school students that were interested, in my case, in real estate. We had a surprise trip. Don't ask me what that was, but it must have been a surprise to somebody. We had a ladies' day. I don't think we had women in the Rotary at that time in 81 and 82. We decorated Sonoma State Hospital for Christmas. We had a son and daughter dinner, an evening in January, a Valentine party. We had our Rotary anniversary. We had a joint meeting with Lakeport, St. Patrick's Dance, a joint meeting with Seroptimists, another Ladies' Day. So it just seems like we had a lot of things going on, a lot of things happening, and that was just basically in the club. Then that doesn't include the extras that we did in the community.
Well, Charlie Bushman, which is a name that you don't hear very often anymore in the club. It used to be almost every sentence was his name. The club would not exist today if it had not been for Charlie Bushman. He came here from, I believe it was from the Stockton Club, and Charlie he knew all the ins and outs of Rotary, and he passed that on to us. And it made our club strong to start with. And that's why I say I don't think our club would exist if it wasn't for Charlie.
1977, when I became president, which was because people who were supposed to be president, I just had gotten out of college, they kind of bowed out, and next thing I know, I was next in line. But a man came along from the Fairfield Rotary Club, and now living here in Clearlake, and he just transferred to our club. His name was Charlie Bushman. And he pretty much looked at us and said, "What the hell are you doing?" Meaning that we had no rules, no direction with our club. We didn't know how to really even run a meeting the right way. So Charlie is the one that finally said, "Hey, this is what you need to do." And you know what? He had enough charisma that we listened to him, and we followed his instructions, and now you see what we have. Our club survived during that time, and although there was a point where we might not have survived, but Charlie is the one that really gave us direction in our club. So when you see the Bushman Fund, that pretty much shows you how important he was to our club to keep it vital.
Don't just join a Rotary Club, participate in a Rotary Club. because Rotary does a lot of wonderful things worldwide. Many thousands of dollars that our club has come up with and donated to Rotary. So it's helped people in very poor conditions elsewhere in our country and elsewhere in the world. And something that we can be proud of, that we've done a part of making this a better place to leave behind us.
When I was visiting with my friend Carl Webb, he shared with me the induction ceremony that he used when he was president in 1984-85. I think it's a really good message, and I'd like to share it with you. I have a question for you. When will you become a Rotarian? There are some people who become Rotarians the day that they stand through their induction ceremony, with the award of the pin and other memorabilia. Others only become members of a Rotary Club. There's a big difference. No one is a Rotarian until they become a Rotarian in their heart. The meeting day is not some bothersome appointment. Makeups are not some essential activity to keep a record intact. These dates are opportunities to share in the fellowship and international relationships that are Rotary. Service is not given reluctantly, but willingly, cheerfully, and it sometimes takes a reevaluation of priorities and even personal sacrifice. You will become a Rotarian when you care enough to fully understand the greatness of Rotary. Then participation in Rotary will become a pleasure that will add richness to your life.
So whose idea was this?
Not mine, that's for sure.
So we started out when Carl Webb had an exchange student from South Africa, and I thought, that sounds kind of fun. If we had some exchange students, we'd be able to go visit them. So anyhow, I always wanted to have exchange students. So we did, finally. And Sophie came. Dave Hughes was in charge, so Sophie came, and she was from Belgium, and she got introduced to the family pretty quick. We went on a trip to Washington, and she got to sit in the car with Doug and Christy.
And yes, that was memorable. That's something that Sophie will never forget, and we will never forget. And we've had so many experiences like that with various exchange students. You can mention a name, and I will think of something special that happened when they lived with us.
So like when Sophie was leaving?
Yes, when Sophie was leaving, I don't think Sophie realized, because I waited until they left. When her mom and dad came to pick her up, they came from Belgium, so they did a little road trip with Sophie before it was the day when she was going to leave us. And Sophie's mom brought me a plant, a yellow mum, and that was in 1995. And I still remember what she brought me. And then they took Sophie. And I don't know how long it took me to recover, because I cried for a long time. We were so attached to her. And to this day, it's still emotional when they come to visit, or we haven't gone there too much. They've come here more than we've gone there. But she will always be a daughter. And she even calls our daughter her sister. So it's been, yes, a life-changing experience for both of us.
The fellowships that I've had and friendships that have developed through these last 28 years it's priceless. It really is. I think about 28 years of meeting for lunches and with these folks, and they're dear friends. Now, we don't always have a chance to meet outside of Rotary, but they are fellow brothers in Rotary, and they're just awesome people. They really add so much value to my life. And I was just reflecting with my wife this morning about those that have been so special, to me. So I'm Charlie Bushman. I remember, first joining the club, and he was in his later years and wasn't able to do a lot. But I remember Charlie Bushman. I remember Carl Webb stepping up to the plate to fill in for Charlie Bushman's shoes as secretary, and just really moving the club forward, and just reflecting on Larry Detai Ernie Emery, who was with us for a while, and all of the characters, Roger Shudo, chief of police at the time. We've had some awesome people join our club, and our club has always been one that we could kid one another, jab at one another. And, how can you think of Rotary and not remember, Cooper, teasing Jack Parker and going back and forth and things like that. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. We have a really fun Rotary Club, and it will continue to be that. I'm glad we have that reputation for just keeping that camaraderie and being able to. We look forward to that every time we come to the club. Who's going to tease what, and what is Armando going to tell us about the wrestling features that are there. I didn't know Mike Anderson that well, but as soon as I got to know him, and he said, "Jack, I can help you out with your construction project in your office," and then I'm realizing he really does stand for the acronym of his construction company, Amazing Kind Miracles. He was able to do so much for such a reasonable price. It was awesome. So we have many Rotarians that have come alongside to help me in so many ways: business, friendships, and then so everything about Rotary is a win, and especially the relationships with all of these fine people.
I remember when we first started doing the Blackberry Festival, the Anderson Marsh Interpretive Association was really struggling to keep it going, and we stepped up and decided that that was something we wanted to do. We could use it as a fundraiser, and it would be a community service too. So we decided that we would provide food. We had biscuits and gravy in the morning for the people that came to do the walks in the marsh that were led by the Interpretive Association, and then we served a very nice lunch with Philadelphia cheesesteak sandwiches. Everybody loved that. It was hard work. It was hot. It was a challenge for the guys in the cook trailer, but it was really a fun time, and people really enjoyed it. The blackberry pies kept flowing with the Anderson Marsh people, and we got some of the other folks, the Masonic gals, involved with it. There was historical presentations. Gene Magoon took people out on hay rides to the petroglyphs, and it was just a marvelously fun time. We turned it into a 2-day event. There was lots of vendors. We had a bluegrass festival, and it just drew people from all over the county, and really even out of county. We had a lot of visitors come for that. And for several years, from the mid-90s to the early 2000s, we just really enjoyed being out there and supporting our state park.
2013, 2014, I was president of Clearlake Rotary. Typhoon Haiyan occurred in the Philippines and literally wiped out Tacloban City. The devastation was phenomenal. It looked like an atomic bomb went off. Fortunately, my wife had been a member of the Tacloban Rotary Club. Kathy Bonafide Cola, her best friend, was president at that time. They had done a preliminary project with pigs. We decided, since there was no jobs available for the men, that maybe the women could start to support their families. And in fact, they did that through a pig project. We called it Oink Oink. Kanine Barzan was fantastic. She helped me put together a video. We sent that to the various clubs in our district, and we were actually able to raise $22,500. And as a result, with matching funds from our district and Rotary International, the result was that we had $85,000. That got a lot of pigs, put a lot of money into the economy. In fact, the ladies made net profits of around 5 million pesos, or I guess about $850,000 over a 3-year period. And so it was a very positive impact on the city at a time when it needed it. Bill Corneliuson has to be mentioned because he was tremendous as an editor in the grant process, and he did a lot of work correcting my, let's say, poor writing.
One of the best programs we've done in projects is to help upgrade the Clearlake Senior Center to become a full emergency shelter. We installed with the help of other community groups, of course, because it's expensive, a alternate power source, backup power generator, And there are portable showers there, and we upgraded some other items to make it possible so that if there are more fires, which unfortunately there might be, there is a place for people to go where they can seek shelter and have all the appropriate amenities. And I really think that's important for our community.
Hi, I'm Kendall Fultz, and I've been in Rotary for 30-some years in Hanford Rotary Club. I was president there in 1994, and also in the Clearlake Club. One of the things that I brought to the Rotary Club in the early 2000s was the seafood boil, which is our fundraiser now. Obviously, when you do that, it's a team effort, but we had the idea of the crab feed from the Hanford Rotary Club, and two of our members, Jerry and Karen, who had the Clearlake Resort, said, well, why don't we do a seafood boil? And they had the recipe. We came over to our house here at the winery, and we practiced their recipe one night with Jeannie Passetti and them, and I think there was another person, I can't remember who that was, but we trialed it until we thought we had it right, and then we decided to present that to the club, and we had our first seafood boil approximately 2003, I believe, and that's still continuing today annually as our main fundraiser.
Our favorite project is the exercise equipment at Austin Park. Karen and I were co-presidents at that time, and I was at a meeting in Southern California, and we saw this outdoor exercise equipment, and that was the idea of saying, hey, we need that in our park. So we raised the money. We were a little bit short, and we found another local entity to help us out, and we were able to put in exercise equipment at Austin Park, outdoor exercise equipment, which is being used all the time. You see kids on it, you see adults on it, you see people in the first thing in the morning using it to, instead of going to a gym or something, that's what they use. And it's just so satisfying.
It really started at Larka after the 2015 fires, the Rocky, the Jerusalem, and the Valley Fire, which devastated southern Lake County, burning over 1,500 structures. We had Jennifer Strong from Lakeport called Larka because we had a 501c3 established already, and asked if we could meet and see what we could do with fire relief. She'd already raised $50,000, so we had something to start the fund. We ended up over that year and actually going into 2016 with the Clayton fire, raising nearly $1.5 million for fire relief. This was all within, of course, Lake County. We made up to $5,000 individual grants to small businesses primarily, because we are Rotary, and that's who we focus on. But we also made grants to individuals that had compelling losses, and to organizations in a couple of cases. The thing to me that was so great about this and moved me so much was the gratitude that these folks showed after the devastating loss that they had. And they were basically lost, literally. They didn't know where they were going to go, and we provided them some hope. So again, I'm very proud of that.
Let's talk about something else. Everybody's sweetest, most favorite subject here, especially around the holidays when it comes around, which is Rotary's partnership with See's Candy. We've been selling See's for many, many years, and this is also a huge fundraiser for us. Actually, it's one of our primary fundraisers, and with the partnership that we've had by selling candy through the store, foods, etc., we've been able to raise over hundreds of thousands of dollars that we've used for some of our projects, around here in the community. We've used it to fund scholarships. We've used it to do community development projects. It's been an absolutely huge blessing in our lives to be able to sell this. And, again, I'd be remiss to not name our sweet representative, Stephanie Egerton, has been fantastic for many years for us. She is just always on top of things and really gives us guidance on what's going to be selling best for certain parts of the year. And again, it gets people excited. It gets people happy. Who doesn't love to eat candy, right? And so especially when the holidays come around, 1 box a week is all we ask, right? The idea that bring it up to your Rotary members, try to get extra sales. It's fantastic, and it really does go to serve a good cause. Again, I'd be remiss to not belabor a little bit more about our partnership with Foods Etc. We've been able to sell off the check stand for years as well, which seems to be a great spot. It's a great partnership. Everybody knows that we're the store that sells C's around the holidays, and Rotary gets all the proceeds. We don't take anything from it. So it's been a really fantastic way to get our name out in the community as the club that's really trying to make a difference and do something. And the money that we've made has just been incredibly instrumental to make sure that we can do all those things.
So our Rotary is one of the clubs that we provide the biggest scholarships to our kids here locally, and I'm so proud of that. We have gone to the award ceremonies for the last 2 years or so, and every single time it just feels so good to be the one, for Rotary to be the ones going $4,000, and it's just it's such a rewarding program to be a part of. For the last 2, maybe 3 years, I'm not really recalling, we got to do a lot of interviewing for the kids via Zoom. And that's an important component because we're preparing the kids for job interviews, and we really get to know them more thoroughly by talking to them. One thing that I'm really proud of is the fact that we're not just handing over cash for good grades. We're really assessing kids who have not just gotten good grades but have beaten the odds in some type of way. There are several kids who either are part of the foster care system, whose mothers are severely chronically ill, and they're worried about either staying home or pursuing their education. I know last year there was one girl who really touched my heart, and I think I teared up after she was done. She was really worried about going to college and really going against those traditional norms that her Hispanic family had for her, where her parents even told her, like, if you go to college, we're not going to help you. You're on your own. So for us and she was amazing, by the way. She had amazing grades, and she was a part of a program that just set her up for success. And despite all of those adversities, she still had this amazing goal. So it just felt so good to, along with the other fellow Rotarians, to award her one of the bigger scholarships that we had that year and reassure her that there was a group out there that was ready to support her.
So why Rotary is so dear to my heart is because we put on the community Christmas dinner. When I showed up, I wasn't really sure what to expect. I was just in charge of being the greeter. And there was this boy who was so shy and didn't want to come in. It was December. It was in the morning. It was cold. Everyone was coming to see Santa, get a hot meal, go get a checkup with Dr. Donda. And this boy just would not come in. He was just so shy about it. And I kept offering to bring him food, help him find a warm coat, but he just didn't want to come in. And I was asking my other Rotarians, like, how do I reach out to him? How can I make this day better for him? Because something's going on and I don't know what to do, but I just know in my heart I really wanted to help him. Eventually, when the event was ending and people were leaving, we're cleaning up, I got him to come inside and just eat some food. And he was so thankful, and he was so quiet about it too. It was so humbling for me. And then he's leaving, and I'm leaving, and I see him in the parking lot still. I didn't think he had anywhere to go. And I just went up to him and asked if I could help him with anything. And he's like, can I just take some food home to the rest of my family? So immediately I ran to the kitchen. The kitchen was full of everyone just packing up breakfast and dinner and foods for Meals on Wheels, and they're all in a lively mood. And I was like, hey, can I just get four meals to go? I instantly had them. There's such great energy in the kitchen. And I brought it out to him. He said, thank you, gave me a really great hug, and just walked away. And I still, to this day, I don't know what happened to him. I didn't know his name, but I know I really impacted his weekend, and that little gesture of us just giving him food for the rest of his family, it just really touched my heart, because I only live a half hour away from Clear Lake, but it's a different world from where I'm at in Cobb. And, I just still think about him. And the next year I was looking for him and I couldn't find him. And I'm hoping that he comes back again, just so I can know that he's okay. And so if we can do one thing like that in Rotary to make someone's day better, even if it's just like a simple warm meal to show that we care and we love about them, then I will always, always be in Rotary.